Good morning, everybody. Year 4. Hope you all had a great weekend. And we are back to Monday morning. And I think we're going to kickstart our day by doing a few little stretches and exercises before we start doing some English work. So let's get going. If you can just copy what I'm doing. First of all, just get your neck going up and down, up and down. Okay, we'll start from the top and we'll work the way down. Okay, then swing your arms round, going backwards, then go forwards with your arms. Okay, and then maybe do a few punches. Okay, get some energy. Let's get going. Okay, let's do some stamping. Okay, now some light jogging on the spot and go round the circle. And as you're doing that, start doing your punches as well. Okay, going back round. Okay, then kick one leg, the opposite hand, do that 8 times. Okay, are we feeling a bit more woken up now? Ready to get going? Okay, and then quick jog on the spot, touch the floor, jump up, touch the floor, jump up, and we're ready to go. Okay, what we are doing today is having a look at how we can make our sentences a bit better. So let me just, sorry about this, let me just share a screen with you. Oh, I'm all out of breath, I don't know about you. So there is our data vault for today, okay? To understand how to extend sentences. It's Monday, the 11th of January, and we are going to be thinking about how we can extend our sentences. So if you just pause the video and jot down the data vault, remember, really, really important, you're doing neat joined up handwriting, that you are underlining the data vault, that you're taking great care with your presentation. So pause the video, write that down, and then we will move on. Right, so hopefully you've all done that. We are now going to practice doing some handwriting. So I've got a board to show you with the words on that I want you to write. Okay, so the words we're going to have a go at handwriting today are common words that in your writing sometimes we get a bit muddled with, we sometimes spell incorrectly. So I thought it'd be a good way to practice this as well. So across your page, if you could write down where as many times as you can, making sure that your tall letters are tall, so you can see with my H that I've made it really tall, making sure the other letters all are the same size and sitting nicely on the line. So that's our word where. Write that right the way across the line. If you need to pause the video, do so. Then I'd like you to do the word were. Now were and where are words that we often muddle up. Just remember that where has got the H in it, the H, whereas were does not. Now for the word were, when you're writing this, there's no tall letters. All of the letters fit across, they sit on the line and they are all the same height, about halfway up the line from top to bottom. And then if you could do the same with the word when. Now again, sometimes we miss the H out in the when. You can just remember it is like when, and we'll remember that H there because you can't really hear it when you say the word. So again, tall H, make sure the tall letter goes right to the top of the line and that all the other letters are the same size, halfway up from bottom to top. And just make sure you are joining everything so that you get a nice flow with your pencil or your pen. So if you want to just pause the video again whilst you do that handwriting. Right, okay. Just get the slideshow going. So we are going to do a grammar 5 a day. Now I've got some questions here that you are going to try and answer. We'll then go through the answers, and a bit of a catch today, depending on how many correct answers you get, depends on what exercise you have to do. So the first question, and if you, in your books, you can just write down your answer. You don't need to necessarily print this sheet off. It is in your folder, in the folder for today's work if you want to, but you don't need to. Just write the answer straight down. Which word is the preposition in the sentence? The cat sat on the table. Remember, preposition. Try and think what sort of word a preposition is. The word position in preposition helps to remind you. So just either underline the word or just write down the word that is the preposition on the cat sat on the table. Question 2. You have got to choose there, or there. Sorry, the last there, the E has dropped onto the next line to complete the sentences. So again, if you want to just write down the correct there. So the boys took their shoes outside. So just choose which of these spellings of there you would need if we're saying the boys took their shoes outside. And the second sentence is go over there. Go over there. Which there would we need for go over there? Question 3, give an example of a verb. So think what a verb is. Ask yourself, what's a verb? It's a word. What? Then give an example. Pause if you need to, otherwise carry on. Give an example of a noun is number 4. So again, think what a noun is and try and write one example. Pause if you need to. And then the last one is give an example of an adjective. So again, think what an adjective is. We're going to be using those today and write down one example. Right, so pause the video if you need to, and then we'll go through the answers. So you've got your pens ready to mark it. So which word is a preposition? A preposition tells us where something is. So whether something is on the table, whether something is under, whether something is next to, above, beside, any of those words that tell us where something is. So in this sentence, the cat sat on the table. On is the preposition because that tells us where the cat is sitting. Question 2 with the first sentence, it says the boys took their shoes off. Now, when we're talking about their shoes, something that belongs to them, I hope you have all remembered it is T-H-E-I-R, there. Sorry, I know you can't see that very clearly on that board. T-H-E-I-R. So the boys took their shoes off. Then the other one, go over there. So if you're saying go over there, it is this there. T-H-E-R-E. T-H-E-R-E. Well done if you got those both right. Now, I suspect you're going to have lots of different answers for question 3. Give an example of a verb. But as long as you have remembered that a verb is a doing word. So if you've written anything that is a doing word, you can give yourself a tick. In other words, writing, sitting, jumping, climbing, eating, sleeping, drinking, anything where you are doing something is a verb. Next one, give an example of a noun. There are thousands and thousands of nouns we could choose. I suspect we've all probably got a different noun, okay? And it'd be lovely to hear your ideas, but as long as you have put a person, an object or a place as your example as a noun, you are correct. So, pen, Mrs. Bevins, you could have named yourself in there. You could have named Bromsgrove. You could have named ruler, paper, chair, table, anything that's an object or a person or a place is a noun. And then the 5th question, give an example of an adjective. We talk about adjectives quite a lot. They are, of course, are describing words. So any word that describes something. So think of an object. Okay, I'm going to think of my pen. It is a green pen. So green is my adjective. Okay, you might see a very tall person walking along. So they are tall. Tall is the adjective because you are describing them. So as long as you've got a describing word, that is correct. Right, I want you to count how many of those questions you got right. There are 5. If you needed to get both of these right, for that to count as 1. When you've worked out how many you got right, have a look at this. So I'm going to time you for 30 seconds. And for 30 seconds, you need to do one of those activities. If you got one question right, you need to do 30 seconds of mountain climbers. Now, for those of you that don't know what a mountain climber is, let me just tilt the video camera very quickly. Hopefully you can see just about. Okay, so you put your hands on the floor, legs back, and you pull your knees up to your chest like that. Okay, sorry, it's not very clear. Excuse the technology. If you got 2 questions right, you do 30 seconds of sit-ups. So you lie on your back and you come up. If you got 3 questions right, you do 30 seconds of squats where you start standing up and you bend at your knees. If you got 4 questions right, you do 30 seconds of star jumps. Sorry, I know you can't see me very well because I'm just in the corner of the video. And if you got 5 out of 5, you get to choose one of those activities. So, are we ready? Do we all know what we're going to be doing? I will start the timer now. Off you go. Okay. So whatever you're doing, you've got to keep going for the whole time, whether it's mountain climbers, sit-ups, squats, jumps, star jumps. And if you're choosing exercise, if you decide you want to swap halfway through, you've got that privilege. Okay. So we are nearly halfway in our time. That's halfway now. 15 seconds left. Keep going. You should be feeling your heart rate going up a bit now. You should be working hard. Keep going, don't stop. 10 more seconds now. Well done, everybody, you're doing really well. Keep going, and 3, 2, 1, and relax. Well done. You can sit down now, pat yourselves on the back. Well done for doing that exercise. Right, okay. So as I said, going back to our Walt, we are learning how to extend sentences today. But just before we do, I meant to say something at the start. I have realised that I have completely lost my little monkey. Now, as some of you may know, monkeys are my absolute favourite animals, and I've got quite a lot of monkeys at home. But Monty is my absolute favourite, and he's only a little monkey, and I don't know where he's gone. He normally lives at my house. Sometimes he pops into my bag and comes to school with me, but I've looked everywhere at home. I've looked everywhere in the classroom, and I can't see Monty anywhere. So what I want you to do is just have a look around, just see if you can see him at all, okay? Because I'd really like to know if we can see him. Can anyone see him on the, how about if we make it a bit bigger? Then you might be able to see. Right. Can anyone, I wonder if, because I just haven't been able to see him. I've looked under the table, I've looked through all the books, I just haven't been able to find him anywhere. I wonder if anyone can see him looking around here. I don't know. He's only small. I hope he's not lost or got into any trouble. He's a little brown monkey. I don't know. Is he under here? Is he in anyone's trays? Is he in these boxes here? No, I just can't see him. Oh, look what I found. There's Monty. Can you all say hello to Monty? Oh, I'm so glad we found him. But he's got a little note stuck to him. He's written you a little note, I think. Let's have a look at this. So it says, "Dear children, I've decided to join you this week and learn all about your English, but I'm also going to be playing a little game. Every day I'm going to be hiding somewhere, so you need to keep your eyes out and look for me. Keep working hard. Love, Monty the monkey." Oh, so he wants to join in your lessons, but he's also going to play a little trick. So each day you log on to English this week, you've got to see if you can spot where Monty is. That's a good idea, Monty. What I'll do is I'll put him back on the shelf now. He's not going to hide today, but there's Monty. I'm really glad you got to meet him because he's such a lovely little monkey. And then we'll look out and see where he gets up to tomorrow, see what he gets up to tomorrow. Okay, so we'll pop in there. There we go. Oh, I am relieved. Now I can actually concentrate on what we're going to be doing because I was a bit worried that I didn't know where he was. So thank you for helping me find him. Okay. So let's go back to our... Right, so we are going to, first of all, be watching a clip called Marshmallows. It's a really nice little film clip. So I'm going to play it for you in a second. And whilst you're watching it, I want you to be thinking about all the words and phrases that you can think of to describe the setting. We're particularly looking at where the story is set. So the setting of the story, if you remember, is where it's taking place. So what you will need to have in front of you is a piece of paper, and you can always watch this again if you want to help you. You might want to watch it through once and then pause it or go back and watch it again. But you need a piece of paper to watch the video, okay? And as you're watching it, write down any words or any sentences, any phrases that you can think of to describe the setting. So you could maybe pick one of the things as a lake in it and describe the lake, or pick the fire and describe the fire. I won't say any more, have a look, and let's go at describing. Lots of adjectives. Okay. Right, so I'm just going to stop it there because you, again, like I say, you can watch that again if you'd like to, just by clicking on that link, and it's also in your pack where to go. But hopefully you have had time to just jot down a few things. If you want to just pause the video and then you can jot down some ideas of the sorts of things that you saw at the start of the film, of the clip in particular, where the story was set. Okay, we're not talking about characters. Just out of interest, that strange looking monster thing is called a Maladile. We're not talking about him at the moment. We'll come on to him in the next few days. But just for today, we're thinking about our setting. So pause the video, jot down anything you want to add to describe what you have just seen about the setting. Right, so for example, okay, the moonlight was reflected on the ripples, oops, sorry, can't see that, ripples of the lake. Okay, so there's a nice descriptive sentence talking about the moonlight and the lake. Okay. There was a fire in the forest and there were thick trees by the edge of the water. So these are just some of the things that I've spotted. Now, if you had been in the classroom, if we could talk about this, I'd love to hear your ideas of things that you've noticed, but just see if you've spotted some of these things. Okay, now, what we are going to do, as we always do with our sentences, is try and think of descriptive sentences that we could write using a fronted adverbial or a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase is basically a phrase that tells you where something is, just because the word preposition tells you where something is. But if we put it at the front of our sentence, it becomes a fronted adverbial. And we often have talked, in the first term before Christmas, we talked about trying to make our sentences interesting by starting sentences with a variety of openers, a variety of fronted adverbials. So I've got some sentence starters there that might help you with some of your ideas. So what I'm going to do is we've got in the distance. So I just go back to, so you can see the board a bit clearer. There we go. I know the reflection on that board isn't very good, but I've got a piece of paper here. Hopefully you'll be able to see it a bit better on there. Okay, so we have got in the distance is the first one. Okay, now in the distance we could talk about, so it's what you'd see far away. Now, if any of you remember, in the distance, there were some tall mountains. So you might want to say in the distance, and remember your comma, you must put a comma after your fronted adverbial. Okay, in the distance, tall, I'm going to use two adjectives now. So if I'm using two adjectives, I put a comma. Tall, pointy, mountains, stood. Now I could leave it at that. That is a lovely sentence. In the distance, tall, pointy mountains stood, but I'm going to add something else. I'm going to make my sentence even better by adding in a simile. Remember, a simile is where you say something is like something else. So I'm going to say my tall, pointy in the distance, tall, pointy mountains stood as high as skyscrapers. Okay, and then at the end, I remember, of course, my full stop. Now that is a brilliant sentence. Sorry, I don't mean to brag, but it is quite a good sentence. And I would be so excited if you managed to write some sentences like that. So in the distance, comma after my fronted adverbial, tall, pointy, two adjectives separated with an adjective, with a comma. Tall, pointy mountains stood as high as skyscrapers. Right, you have a go at one. Around the fire. So have a go at just jotting down an idea around what could be around the fire. Pause the video, write down a descriptive sentence about around the fire. Well done. Right, so I'd love to hear your ideas, but my idea would be around the fire were broken, jagged twigs. Okay, were broken, comma, jagged, hope you can read this, twigs. And I'm going to add some more information. That we're slowly being warmed because they're by the fire. And then at the end, I remember, of course, my full stop. So again, around the fire, comma, after fronted adverbial, were broken, jagged, so my two adjectives with a comma between the two, twigs that were slowly being warmed. Okay, so I'll move that to one side. We'll try one more. One more starter we could have is close by. So just pause the video and have a go at writing your sentence that starts with close by. So think about what was nearby. Okay, you might want to talk about the lake, the fire again, the trees. There was a woodland area as well. Okay, let me just grab something. Okay, so I'm going to write close by was a rippling lake. Okay, the lake wasn't, the water on the lake wasn't causing big waves. It was just rippling very gently. Okay, now I'm going to say was a rippling lake. Now I'm going to add a bit of extra information about the lake. Okay, the lake's got cold, murky water in it. So I'm going to put a comma there, and then I'm going to put with cold, comma, murky water. Now, because that's extra information, I put a comma either side of it because the sentence is still going to make sense without this bit in it. Okay, it's a dropping clause. Okay, close by was a rippling lake with cold, murky water. Okay, I'm just going to finish where many creatures lived. Now, I could have done the sentence saying close by was a rippling lake where many creatures lived. That would have been fine. But I decided to add this extra phrase into it with cold, murky water. And because that bit does not make sense without anything else, you need to put a comma either side of it. Now, that is quite a tricky idea. I'm not expecting you all to be able to do that, but it's just another idea of a way to write a descriptive sentence. So what you are going to do today, in your in the information you've got given in your pack, there are some sentences to help you. Okay, there's some starter sentences. It talks about the different things. So we've got the moonlight reflected on the ripples of the lake. There was a fire in the forest. There were thick trees by the edge of the water. In the distance, there were mountains. Around the fire, there was stone. So there's some ideas on this sheet, and you can have that sheet up in front of you to help you. Okay. And what your task today is going to be, let me just put it up for you. Sorry, I'm flicking between screens here. That one. What your task today is going to be trying to write extended sentences. There's another example on this slide where we've got a simple sentence, there were thick trees, and then we improve it by adding things. So we've got here, there were thick trees by the edge of the water. There were several thick trees, and now we've added an extra bit of information with huge trunks. So that bit's obviously got a comma either side of it, standing by the edge of the water. And then a final bit, we've added a fronted adverbial or a prepositional phrase at the start. In the distance, there were several thick trees with huge trunks standing by the edge of the water. So a very simple sentence has changed from a much more complex descriptive sentence. And that's what we're trying to do today. So you've got some ideas already, and you've got to now try and write those into decent sentences. So on this slide here, you can see what we'd like you to do. So if you're in Africa, I want you just to try and improve the sentences that are on that sheet, or some of your own ideas. You're just going to write me some descriptive sentences about the setting. Asia and Europe and the Americas, I want you to write a short paragraph describing the setting, taking the different things that are in the setting and trying to use interesting adjectives and verbs all the time, making sure you are using fronted adverbials, okay, and extending your sentences with extra information. And the Americas, if you're able to, put an extra subordinate clause in where you put the commas around it, because it's extra information that if you took it out, the sentence will still make sense. So it's quite a challenge there, but obviously I know how creative some of you are and how brilliant at writing descriptive piece of writing you are. So we are just describing the setting. We are just writing using adjectives to describe the different things and making sure we're trying to use a variety of good fronted adverbials. So I'd like you to try that. And obviously, if you want to send us in work you've done, please do. As always, please make sure your writing is beautifully presented. There are lots and lots of you working really hard with your handwriting, so keep it up. We will see it. And obviously we can reward those children that are managing still to keep, even though you're at home, if you're sending in bits of work, you're showing your beautiful handwriting, you may be able to get your pen license. So it's still really important to take care of your presentation. Okay, it's been great seeing you all today. And remember, we'll be back for more English tomorrow, and we're going to look out for little Monty, who is just here now. Have fun, everybody. See you soon. Bye.